Hey guys, this is NitroZombie, and I'm here at the Farlands in Minecraft Java. And I'm going to show you guys a step-by-step of exactly how to get here so you can experience this for yourselves. The Farlands are a terrain generation glitch that occurs millions of blocks out from spawn. This bug occurred in the earliest versions of Minecraft Java, and it still exists to some degree in the current versions of Minecraft Bedrock. Is the point where normal terrain generation ceases to exist, and it essentially forms the edge of the Minecraft world. The Farlands start at 12,550,821 blocks out on both the X and Z axes. In modern versions of Minecraft Java, the world ends at the world border, which is 30 million blocks out from spawn. So while the Farlands don't exist in modern versions of Minecraft Java, we can still visit them by loading into older versions of the game. And we do that through the Minecraft launcher. So we're going to want to make a couple of new installations of the game. Up here in the top left, next to the Play tab, you hit Installations, and these are the current versions of Minecraft that you have installed and loaded up. And over here on the right side, there's a few different checkboxes. Normally, you're just going to have the first one, the full releases one, checked. If you get into playing on snapshots, this is the one you're going to have checked. And this is the one that we want. This is how you get access to the old historical versions of the game. And you'll see that it has a warning dialog here that says whenever you run the historical versions, you want to do it in a separate game directory to avoid corrupting your worlds. And that is extremely important, because we don't want to accidentally open up any of the worlds that we're currently playing on in older versions of the game, where it can possibly corrupt and make those worlds unplayable. Plus, jumping back and forth to old versions of the game, even if it's a new world, will mess with your save settings. So by making a new directory, we will not have an issue with that. So let's go ahead and click on Historical, and let's make some new installations. The first installation we're going to make is going to be in an old version of the game where we can access the Farlands. So the Farlands were in the game from an early version known as InfDev all the way up until beta 1.7.3. So we're going to go ahead and make it in 1.7.3, although you can make it in an earlier version. And we're going to go ahead and name this installation Farlands Beta. And then we're going to go ahead and make the new game directory, and you do it here in this tab. So we want to hit Browse, and it's going to pull up this window here, and it should automatically have the Minecraft folder highlighted. So all you need to do is go down to the bottom left, hit Make New Folder, and we're going to name this one Farlands as well. And then hit OK. And that's all you need to do. It made that new directory under Minecraft as a Farlands folder. So now it will not interfere with any of the current worlds we play on or the settings. So we'll go ahead and hit Create. And we've got that one ready to go. So let's make one more installation. So the other installation that we're going to be making is in version 1.12.2. And the reason that we're going to do it in that specific version is because it's the last release that you can port Farlands terrain into. All of the other releases later, once again, change how terrain's generated, so it's got to be this one. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going into the old version of Minecraft, the beta installation that we made. We're going to be traveling all the way out to the Farlands, using a little bit of trickery that we'll get into soon. And then we're going to be porting that terrain that we generated into this newer version of the game, where it's easier to move around and appreciate that terrain. It's not so buggy and difficult to get around. So we're going to go ahead and use 1.12.2, and I recommend doing an Optifine installation to make it run a little bit better. It's not that difficult to do. Just go to the Optifine website, and they have all the old versions of Optifine as well, just like Minecraft does. So we're going to do 1.12.2, and we're going to go ahead and rename this Farlands 1.12.2. And then we're going to go down here and use the same game directory that we made for the beta. So this time we're going to expand the Minecraft folder, And then we're going to go down to the Farlands folder that we created, click on it until it's highlighted and it's listed in this box here, and click OK. So that will make this installation use that same directory as well. And let's go ahead and create this one. So now we've got our two new installations, and they save their files into a different directory so it doesn't interfere with the current worlds and installations we have or their settings. So let's start by opening the 1.12.2 installation that we made. And here we are in an older version of the game. I'm going to go ahead and change some of these settings, turn off the music, turn the sound down a little bit. See if there's anything else I need to change here. Let's go to unlimited. Let's crank the brightness all the way up. I think that's good for now. Let's go ahead and make a world. And we want to do this in creative. And we're going to name this Farlands. And go ahead and create. So here we are in the new world that we just created. Let me quickly kind of explain to you how this is going to work. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to be using this newer version of the game to access the Farlands in the old version of the game. And that's because in the older versions of the game, where the Farlands existed, there was no spectator mode, no creative mode, and no teleportation command that would allow you to quickly get out there and see them. So basically, we're going to be using this version of the game. We're going to be teleporting out to the coordinates where the Farlands would be, and we're going to quickly exit, and we're going to load up this save in the old version of the game where the Farlands will be right in front of our eyes. So let's go ahead and put in the command that we need. I'm going to Control-V, paste the teleportation command that we need. And I'll have this down in the video description so you can quickly copy and paste this without having to write it out for yourself. So as soon as I click enter and we get teleported out, it's going to be about 120 blocks shy of where the Farlands will be. I'm going to quickly exit out before the terrain generates, and then we're going to load into the beta version. So let's go ahead and hit enter. Train starting to generate. I'm going to quickly exit, and now I'm going to go ahead and back out of this version of the game and load up the beta version. We're back here at the launcher. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Farlands beta installation that we made and load it up. This certainly has an old school feel to it. We're going to go ahead and turn the music off and the sound down. And we're going to go into single player, and this is the Farlands world that we created in 1.12.2. And a word of warning before we load this up, it's going to be crazy scuffed whenever we get in there into the beta Farlands area. The game pretty much breaks down out there. It's difficult to move. It's very hitchy, and the frame rate will tank the closer you actually get to the Farlands terrain. So we've got to quickly get in, move around, try to load in as much as that terrain as possible, and then port it back over into the 1.12 world so we can actually move around and look at it without the game breaking on us. So let's go ahead and load in, and we're going to be coming in at Y90. It's kind of a safe middle ground where hopefully we're going to load in and not be so high up that we'll take lethal fall damage, and we're not going to be low enough to be suffocating in a hill or a mountain. But if you happen to load in and that happens, just start the process over again, make a new 1.12.2 world, port it over to beta, and it should only take a time or two before you get in safely. So let's go ahead and load in. Okay, and we went down to 2 hearts, not bad, and there are the Farlands. And I loaded us into the corner Farlands where the X and the Z Farlands intersect so we can get a real nice view here. And you'll see that the hitboxes are a little bit off, and as we move around, it's almost like stop motion where it's just really hitchy. Right now, the frame rate's pretty good. We're around 75 to 80. The closer we get, it's going to load in a bunch of gravel and sand that's going to be falling, and it's going to create entities and just really bog down the game. So that's the main reason why we have to load this into a newer version so we can really appreciate the Farlands. This is a beautiful sight, though. I honestly think that this is something that all serious Minecrafters should experience once in their Minecraft life. So let's get a little bit closer so we can load in as much of this as possible. Frame rate is going down a little bit, but it's still pretty stable, honestly. Let's get over to the corner a little bit more. It's really disorientating trying to move around here. Okay, we're still in the 40s. Now it's getting a little bit lower. 30s. It's actually not tanking as much as it has in other Farlands, and that's something that you can kind of experiment with. You can do this multiple times, and the Farlands will always be different. Okay, we're getting low now. I'm going to go ahead and save and quit and load into the 1.12.2 installation. Okay, we're back here at the launcher. I'm going to go ahead and load in that 1.12.2 installation. Here we are back in 1.12.2. We're going to have to update the settings again. Like I said, moving back and forth between versions of the game will mess with your settings. So that's a big reason why you want to have a separate installation, different directory, so you don't have to mess up all of your settings and keybinds that you have. Let's go to video. Let's go max frame rate. Let's up the brightness again. And we will up the render distance a little bit once we get out there and load some of this in. And here is the world that we want to convert back over. And let's go ahead and hop on in. And we're back in 1.12.2. So we're going to have a little bit of lag over here as well as we load in the Farlands, and you can see that the terrain in general is just going to be corrupted, and there's going to be jagged lines. And you will be able to get in creative here, but what you'll need to do to get into spectator and use any commands is open it to land. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and open it to land, turn cheats on. So now we can go into spectator mode. And let's fly around a little bit and let's find the Farlands. And there they are. The beta Farlands terrain that we loaded in, and that now we have ported over to the newer version of the game. So we're going to kind of fly around here and load it in. Some of it loads in quicker than others. This one seems to be loading in pretty quickly. Sometimes you'll need to kind of hang out in one spot if it's not loading in. Just let the game catch up. We even have some mushrooms over there. That's interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and load all of this in. Oh my gosh. I love that. That is just beautiful looking right there. Okay, so we got a pretty good swath of it here. I'm going to go ahead and up the video settings, the render distance now that we've loaded most of it in. And get a good fly around. And then after the terrain that you generated as Farlands, it will resume normal terrain generation. So really you're just going to have a little section of Farlands as much as you were able to load in whenever you were in the beta world. But it's enough that you can really get an appreciation for what it looks like in the kind of terrain that existed at that time. So we really got a cool section of Farlands here. And if your computer will support it, you can go ahead and turn on shaders. Let's go ahead and put on Sue, see what it looks like with that. Oh yeah. And you can really kind of go in the middle of it all and experience it. It's really a sight. It's just so strange, this terrain generation. So that's really all there is to it, guys. Most of the time is spent making those new game installations and the new directories, But once you get proficient in hopping in and out of the different versions of the game and loading in the Farlands, it's a lot of fun to experiment with finding different versions of the Farlands. And you can actually find Nether Farlands. It's a little bit more dangerous. It involves making a nether portal whenever you make that first 1.12.2 world, hopping in the nether before you teleport out to the Farlands coordinates. And it's just kind of a dice roll if whenever you load into that beta world, if you're going to be safe, if you're going to fall down to a lava lake. It takes a little bit more time to get it right, but I've definitely done it plenty of times before, and it's doable. So I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope that you guys are able to make it out here for yourselves. And I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments if you are, or if you have any questions. And I appreciate if you hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing to see more content like this in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one.